It's an amazing course that exposes you to global issues, global politics, and these are things I've actually been interested in, and coming to Brooks gave me deeper insight.
Something I really love about my course is getting to collaborate with other students and getting to know why they've chosen to study human rights law. There's such a broad background of students, so you really get to get a bigger understanding of issues within the world, of why they are, studying to do human rights law and why they are activists for their causes. And you get to come away from the course being aware of situations and maybe even becoming activists yourself for something that you didn't know about or weren't there to do initially.
So the reason why I wanted to be a teacher was because of my experience within school. I didn't actually enjoy school, and that's what's shaped me to be a teacher now, is the fact that I want to be a teacher that everybody wants, because I had experience with teachers that, they weren't supportive, they're very critical, they weren't constructive. That was the difference. I mean, being a teacher, you need to be constructive. Not everyone's going to be at the ability you want them to be, so you have to be patient as well. So I found that if I could bring a good experience in education for someone, then it's going to be more likely they're going to get the job they want, they're going to gain qualifications, and I think that's the problem. Not enough, children, even adults, want to be in education long enough, so they don't actually realise their full potential, and then end up in a career that possibly is not where they should be, in my opinion.
The transition between international relations and politics in human rights law was quite a difficult one, particularly because most of the students doing the LLM already had experience in law and I didn't. So sometimes there were, especially when we were getting to know the people in the course and doing our introductions and hearing such impressive backgrounds, I did feel a little bit of imposter syndrome, kind of thinking, do I belong here? But once you get to know everyone properly and you get to understand why everyone is doing the course, that soon goes away.
So having a lack of science background and what a barrier that was to my learning here, I guess it's hard to compare myself to other people. I dove straight in. I did a lot of asking of questions of tutors, of my fellow students. I did a lot of Google and YouTube searches, and really, it wasn't so much of a barrier. It was more of a learning experience.
Having already been to Brooks, I think that was nice, and it made the overall learning environment familiar. But one of the challenges and one of the differences I noticed from undergraduate to postgraduate was certainly the teaching style. So typically in undergraduate you would have the 1 to 2 hour lecture and then you would have your seminar afterwards. But the way that the LLM was mostly run was you would have what was known as a workshop. So the lecture itself was typically pre-recorded, and you would do that at home and watch it at home and do your readings, and then you would come into the workshop to discuss what you had learnt at home.
For me, the bigger challenge on the workload was the amount of reading, and because the reason I'm doing it is because I don't read enough. I mean, let's be absolutely honest. I'm doing it to challenge me to read more, because my big passion is classical music, and if I've got a couple of hours to spare, I'll listen to a piece of new music that I've never heard before, or I'll do that. So this is about, you need to start reading more. So for me, there was a challenge, I suppose, about just making sure I was well prepared in terms of how long does it take me to read a Shakespeare play? How long does it take me to understand a poem that I don't really understand?
I found the pace of study different at Masters to undergrad. It's just really much more intense. You've got a year to complete your Masters. So there's a lot of work that you need to do. And it's not just a case of there's more lectures. So there would be a few lectures, but you need to do more yourself. And you need to keep up that pace and make sure that you balance, your social and your academic life, because there is just so much more to do, and it's such a higher intensity. It's at a higher level as well. So you really need to master your own time quite well.
It is demanding. I mean, people need to realise that postgraduate degrees are nothing to fool around with. I mean, you know, demanding. They take up your time, especially obviously with my course I did a placement, so they needed to find allocation time for your studying, to give you an actual break for assignments, and obviously to allow you enough time to get your work placement hours in.
I found I tried quite a few different strategies to help organise myself and keep myself on track. Sometimes I'd use a calendar, a physical calendar, to actually see when things were happening. I wrote my deadlines down so I could see what deadlines overlapped for assignments, and then know how long that I had to get things sorted. I'd write lists, to-do lists, do Excel spreadsheets and timelines. But I think it's a case of finding out what works for you, and just because something doesn't work, it doesn't mean that's it, give up. It's a case of just trying different things to find out what works best for you.
Feedback were quite constructive and very helpful, and that helped me a lot in second semester. A particular module leader was quite helpful. It was like, don't worry, Lillian, I understand, you will get it right. Some students had the same experience. You will get it right in second semester and you will see an improvement in your performance, and that was exactly what happened. It might not be excellent, but not just was I happy with my grades, but I was happy that I learned something. I learned something. In my heart, I knew I learned something.
So I think who really helped me is, one is, of course, lecturer. And also I was taking the academic English courses. So really these two lecturers helped me. And I think the student who really got the great result and mark, those students was asking a lot of questions. So first, they research by themselves, work by themselves, but if they couldn't understand, I saw that the student asking questions to lecturer, so don't be shy.
So they're quite small classes, and I think sometimes that can scare people, because then if you put your hand up and ask a question, that can be quite scary. But all the tutors were very understanding and really supportive, and there's no such thing as a stupid question, apart from the question you don't ask.
Working on the essays, the 4 set of essays, I felt, okay, I've given it my whole, and then when the grades are out, I'm seeing something I'm not happy about. So that kind of was kind of very challenging, but at the end, I was able to improve on it because I leveraged on one of the resources provided by my course. It was a Royal Literary Fellow. It was there to actually guide so many students on essay writing, essay structuring, and all that.
So another source of help which I found really, really useful was the Centre for Academic Development. As I say, I don't have a scientific background, don't have a maths background, so stats was a real issue for me. Even though we were being taught stats, there were still some things that I didn't understand. So I looked on YouTube, there were some videos, that wasn't really helping. So I went to the Centre of Academic Development and actually spoke to somebody who specialises in stats. And she was amazing. She explained everything to me in such an easy to understand way. She helped massively. She put me in the right direction for future resources. I couldn't recommend them highly enough.
Certainly don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean, you know, we're all new to the game. We're not, you know, some of us have already done a postgraduate, but some haven't. We're all at different academic abilities, and I think there's nothing wrong with, you know, needing that extra hand, that extra bit of guidance. It really does support you. For me, example, I went to the Academic Development Centre towards my critical writing, especially for level 7. You know, you needed to pass your level 7s in order to get the qualification, as well as obviously, you know, going for merit or distinction. So having that support and that guidance for me in my critical thinking and writing was important for me. You know, it was the difference between me getting a qualification and me not getting it overall.
A good source for motivation is your fellow students. So if you are having an issue with just general motivation, or you're having an issue with a certain assignment or something like that, they are a great source of motivation and help, because you'll find that a lot of them have similar issues, and then you can work on them together. The university also has people that you can talk to if you are struggling, and they take mental health very, very seriously here, which is great. So there's also other resources that you can reach out to if you are struggling.
If you're a new student coming to Brooks to study, I'll be sincere with you. At the first instance, it might not be easy. You might feel lonely, or you might feel, Well, how will I get it right? But the truth is, you will. You will get it right. And the people are very amazing and understanding. The module leaders are very helpful. Even the students, well, it all depends on the student, but the students were quite helpful too. And so just take it a step at a time. Leverage on the opportunities. The student central team are there. The academic support team are there. Reach out to them. I did reach out to them. There are many opportunities, volunteering opportunities. You want a job, it's there for you. Just know how to manage your time, and you would see yourself progress in your academics, you see yourself progress in your professional, your personal life, and even in your professional life. You would get experiences that would be useful for you after studies. So take it a step at a time. Reach out to the necessary resources or facilities that are available for you, and you would be glad you came to study at Brooks.
My advice would be just to believe in yourself. You are on this course for a reason, and you should never ever doubt your abilities.
My advice to new master's students would be to really enter into the challenges that you can take on board, and to make sure that you take every opportunity to access the support that's available, and just take a few risks. It's easy for me to say that not having a work context in order. I'm not doing the masters for work purpose, doing it just for myself, but even so, I think that the challenges and the support available is second to none, so I'd advise you to go for it.
So I really advise you never give up, and good luck.